Hey guys, I'm Lucas and welcome to a quick K-News special about the recent Falcon 9 explosion on the launchpad. However, I also want to remind you about a livestream you probably don't want to miss tomorrow. It's been almost a month since Falcon and its payload were destroyed, and although the heat of it is slowly fading, it is still kind of a mystery how it exactly could have happened. New official information mentions a breach in the helium system, and there are also unofficial sources which talk about weird harmonics which might have caused a rupture. But first things first, why does a rocket need helium at all?
You know, the gas which makes that funny voice.
Both past anomalies are related to the same system, yet both have different causes according to SpaceX. The Falcon 9 upper stage burns kerosene and oxygen, and it of course stores them in separate tanks. Now the oxygen is super chilled, and I don't mean its mood but its temperature. To fit more inside, SpaceX is the first to cool down oxygen extremely low, which of course means they run into new, never before seen issues. Submerged into the cool oxygen are helium containers, large aluminum bottles which are wrapped with carbon fiber for more stability, holding pressurized helium. This helium is used to fill the gap left when the tank drains during second stage operation and also puts a pressure on it. Helium is the best gas to use for that since it is the second lightest element and also does not react with oxygen in any way. Without it, there was a little reason for the oxygen to flow into the turbopump once it's floating in space, for example. Other rockets avoid that issue by a hot separation, for example. They fire the engine while the upper stage is still attached, so the acceleration keeps the fuel pressing towards the engine. Now, before I go into harmonics, let me mention again, this is not officially confirmed information. Reddit user Empower has, as he puts it, a credible source which told him SpaceX ran into weird harmonics fueling up the upper stage. To understand how a harmonic or harmonic wave matters, let me first talk about waves and sound. To produce a constant tone, vibration is needed. Hitting a glass with a spoon, for example, creates a characteristic sound many of you are familiar with. Now the actual tone depends on the glass itself and the amount of liquid it is filled with. The more fluid is inside, the deeper the sound gets. You can even make such weird noises shaking the glass around. Now hitting the glass harder does not change the tone, which would be such a shift in frequency, it just increases the amplitude. The glass can only withstand so much of it until it shatters. So the vibration is first and then comes the sound. Interestingly, this is also possible vice versa. A sound plate can cause the glass to move and swing as if it was hit by a spoon. Now guess what? This works best with exactly the same tone it can produce. This is called the resonance frequency. The sound wave resonates with the glass because it matches its behavior perfectly and the glass starts to swing. You probably heard of singers who can make wine glasses explode with their voice. This is exactly what they do. They try to find the right note, and as the glass starts to resonate, you can feel it by the way in your hands, they bump up the amplitude by singing louder until the glass eventually cracks. This effect can also happen to a bottle too, although it is much harder to destroy a bottle than a wine glass. Now, engineers are of course clever enough to know that these days, so they are very careful with it. However, there are always unpredictable things which can happen, especially if you do things no one has ever done before. Now, where is the tone which could break a bottle of helium at the upper stage? It's not exactly a tone, but the fuel pump pumping the liquid oxygen into the upper stage is one source for pressure waves, for example. Now, they of course know about that particular wave, but there are a lot of variables which have an impact on that. A weird harmonic is not the main wave which you can calculate, but one that gets mixed into it from other sources. Imagine you would scream into a pipe and try to break a glass at the end of it. Such a pipe can influence your voice unpredictably like a flute, and the same is the case for the whole helium system of the Falcon 9 upper stage. Okay, please keep in mind this is still a little speculative and the exact reasons for the helium breach of the upper stage were not yet published. Even if it were weird harmonics, they still had to find their origin. Now, before I go on telling you about the upcoming livestream, let me give a shout out to my patrons which support my monthly crowdfunding campaign. It's optional but helps and motivates a lot, thanks. As many of you probably heard, Elon Musk is going to have a maybe historical talk at the International Astronautical Congress in Mexico this year. It's tomorrow to be exact, September 27th, 2016, which means it's just around the corner. The main topic of this talk is making humans a multiplanetary species, and SpaceX themselves will stream it live, which was last done when Elon Musk unveiled the Dragon V2, I believe. The link to the talk is of course in the description, and I really hope you find the time to follow it live. I'm not sure what he will talk about in detail, but it's gotta be big. That shall conclude this K-News special, and I hope to see you in the next one if you like. Auf Wiedersehen and thank you for watching.